Alright, you guys, in this video I'm going to show you exactly how I go about testing Facebook ads and how to make Facebook ads profitable for your e-commerce business. Alright guys, so I'm back on my computer and of course let's get into it. This is going to be your Facebook ads e-commerce testing strategy. And now you may be wondering exactly why you should listen to me. Well, me and my agency have done over $4.5 million in revenue. Post size was 14 for our clients. You can go ahead and pause the video and check out some of our results here. Now, to start off, I'd like to lay a solid foundation, and this will be a good foundation to go off of when you're initially testing your Facebook ads. Before we even begin to touch the ads account, we have to get clear on a couple of things. One of them being the 5 stages of market awareness. And no, this is not my credit. The credit goes to Eugene Schwartz, and you can actually find this in the book Breakthrough Advertising. So what Eugene claims is that there are 5 stages of market awareness and 5 stages of really consumer awareness, right? So you have unaware, problem aware, solution aware, product aware, and most aware. Now, if somebody's unaware, they have no clue that they even have a problem to begin with. So why would they need your product, right? If they're problem aware, they know that they have a problem that they need to be solved, right? But they don't know the solution, which comes into solution aware. They know the problem and the solution that they need to go after, right? So they're only aware of the solution. Product aware is, they're aware of the different products in the marketplace, right? So, for example, let's say Tide and Bounty, for example. Those two are in the same general market, right? And then we have most aware, right? So most aware is, these are people that are completely warm. They know exactly who you are. They may have even bought from you before, right? And why I'm bringing this up is that your ad needs to serve to the level of the market that it is at. If you're serving a most aware ad to an unaware market, it's not going to work. I can tell you from firsthand experience, it will not work. So when it comes to your ad creative, you should keep this in mind. Another thing that you can use to gauge, your market levels and where your market's at is something called market sophistication. So this is going to be essentially how saturated the market is, right? So let's go through it. So if you're first to market, you can be direct with your claims. There's not much competition going on there. If you're second to market, you're going to want to embellish your claims. So for example, let's say you get guaranteed 30 days of sleep, of restful sleep. Let's say, for example, when you're first to market. If you're second to market, you would say you get 90 days guaranteed sleep, restful nights, right? So that's what I mean by embellish. You're going to essentially enlarge on your claim, right? Third to market, there's some competition coming in now, right? So there's, you have a few competitors, but it's not necessarily all the way saturated yet. So in third to market, you want to explain how your solution is better with a new mechanism, right? So your mechanism is going to be exactly how you accomplish those 90 days of sleep. I accomplish those 90 days of sleep using my ACR sleepful restful night system that can be found in this product. That's what a mechanism is, right? A mechanism is essentially the vehicle to how you accomplish the results that you are promising. Fourth to market is you're going to be embellishing the mechanism. So you're going to be enlarging on the mechanism, and you're going to want to clearly convey how your mechanism does it quicker, faster, easier, etc., right? Fifth to market, this is completely saturated market. And you may have to even open up a new market or take a completely new marketing angle approach, right? And the way you do this is through identity-based storytelling. By starting with the identity of somebody, for example, bridesmaids, they have a specific identity. You're going to want to tell a story to that identity, to that demographic that relates to your product, right? So fifth to market is obviously the hardest to deal with, and first to market is usually the easiest. Now, with most products, you're either going to be third to market, you're probably going to be in the third to market range or the fifth to market range, right? So keep that in mind. Here's a key principle. Think of stages of awareness as an x-axis and market sophistication as a y-axis on a graph for locating where your market is at. Now, what do I mean by this? Your market is going to have a certain level of market sophistication and also a certain level of stage of awareness, right? So you're going to want to have those two key metrics dialed in before you even touch the ad account. And why am I saying this? Is because if you touch the ad account and you're not familiar with either of those two, principles, you will essentially fail, right? And yeah, that's not to be harsh or anything, but that's just the truth of it. You need to do your research, you need to do your due diligence, and to really research the market before you even touch the ad account. Now, a next key principle. Facebook ads is an auction-based CPM environment. What do I mean by this? Facebook ads is essentially an auction, if I say that in simple terms. Now, how is the auction, or how is the winner of the auction determined? Well, if you look at Facebook's actual, web page, we can see that these factors come into play: the bid, the estimated action rates, and the ad quality. Right? One thing Facebook didn't really mention is also going to be user value. Now, user value is a combination of, for example, your ad quality and your post-click experience. So that's why I usually tend to value, user value as well. So post-click experience to your landing page, to your product page, whatever page you're driving to, wherever you're driving your traffic, right? If it's slow and clunky and your web page is like not loading, it takes like 20 seconds to load, that's a bad experience for the end user. And Facebook is going to penalize you for that. So what you want to do is you want to get your bids correct. You want to make sure that your ads are great, right? So you want to make sure that you do due diligence, like I said earlier, to talk to that market in a specific way while entertaining them and keeping their attention, right? So you have a lot of things to balance here. And you also want to make sure that your landing page or your post-click experience is dialed in as well, right? So this is how you can win the auction. Specifically, if we take a look at this specific formula right here, advertisers bid times estimated action rates plus user value equals total value. Essentially, if you have a higher total value than your competitors, you will get a lower cost per acquisition and lower CPMs. CPMs are cost per mil, which is essentially how much it costs to advertise to that specific audience that you're trying to reach. So for example, if it costs $10 to reach 1,000 people, and you're winning that auction, and your competitor has, for example, a $30 CPM, that means you can afford to spend more than your competition, right? And this is great because that means you can outlast them and you can win the auction and you can win in your marketing. Another thing to keep in mind is your feedback score. So if your feedback score is essentially how well you're serving your customers, right? After they bought, right? So if somebody buys from you and their package is there the next day, it's all nice and it's exactly what you promised, they're going to leave a good review, and Facebook is going to ask them for a review, for example, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks down the line, and they're going to be like, oh wow, this product is great. If you have great customer service, they're also going to leave a high review. Now the flip side of that is if you have the opposite. If you have bad shipping times, you have a bad product and bad customer service, your customers are going to penalize you, and then Facebook's going to penalize you, and that's going to rise your CPMs, and you're going to be priced out of the auction. I've seen this happen time and time again with different e-commerce brands I work with. Make sure your operations are dialed in before you begin to advertise on Facebook, because it will essentially cost less in the long term, and you will have more, customers that want to do business with you, thus increasing your LTV, your lifetime value of the customer. Let that sink in for a second. Now, what you've all been waiting for, let's get into the testing strategy. You want to start by performing extensive audience and market research, as I alluded to earlier. For example, where does your audience hang out? Demographics. How old is your audience? Demographics. What are some of their deepest issues? Angles. Amazon and competitor reviews, what are they saying? Angles. Your product's unique mechanism. Your product's promise. Potential offers. Market sophistication levels and market awareness levels. And again, for market awareness, I usually like to start with problem aware / solution aware ads, right? Okay. Now that you have some angles generated and are aware of where your market lies in awareness and sophistication, and are aware of the nuances of Facebook advertising and the auction system, we can then begin. So here's another key idea that I'd like to impress upon you. each Facebook ads account has their own unique personality. Some accounts may perform better with ABO testing, and some may perform better with CBO testing. It is in your best interest to test and to see what exactly works for you. And for the sake of this video, I will show you both testing strategies that we like to deploy when we're testing. And as promised, here is a graph, right? Here's a graph of the CBO testing strategy, or the Advantage Campaign Budget testing strategy that we deploy for our clients. So we like to start with one campaign to start off with. Usually the bid depends upon how expensive the product is and how much we're selling it for. But another key nugget is that in the first 1 to 2 days, the first 48 hours, you have what's known as discounted bidding. So you don't need to necessarily come out of the gate spending $1,000 right away. In fact, you can get a successful campaign up with spending just $20 per day and having 2 different ad angles. So keep that in mind. I can't say that there's one blanket solution for testing Facebook ads because there's not. There's not. Each ad account is different. Each product is different. Each market is different. Each niche is different, right? So it's up to you to find and take these heuristics that I'm laying out and find what works best for you, right? So let's get into it. So we like to start with one CBO, 2 ad sets, and inside these ad sets are going to be the angles, right? So we're going to have ad set number 1 with angle number 1 in audience A. And then for the other ad set, we're going to have ad set number 2, angle number 2 in audience A. Notice that we did not change the audiences at all. We're keeping the audience the same and strictly testing the different creatives, right? So we're going to be testing the different creatives. Now, if we go over here to the ad angle, the ad level, if we go over here to the ad angle, we can see that we have creative angle 1.1, so ad set number 1, creative angle 1. And we're testing a carousel. We're also going to test a static with 1.2. We're also going to test a video with 1.3. We're also going to test a GIF with 1.4. You want to get some creative diversification in there to see exactly what your audience likes to see, right? We're still testing. We're still figuring out a little bit about what your audience likes to see. Although you've done your research, now it's time to implement, right? And the same goes for you over here. So now you're going to have creative angle number 2. So this is going to be different than this carousel, right? So this carousel 2.1 is going to be different than 1.1 right here. Same with these. The same applies to these. So we have a creative angle 2.2, a static, creative angle 2.3, a video, and creative angle 2.4, a GIF. Now, what was the variable that we changed here? The variable that we changed here was essentially the creative angles, right? And the angle. We didn't change the audience. We didn't change the demographics. We didn't change anything else except the ad angle. Now, because this is CBO, we're going to let Facebook's intelligent marketing algorithms work its magic, and it's going to show you which ad angle that Facebook thinks will work. It's not what you think. It's what Facebook thinks will work and will get you the highest conversion rate and will help you win the auction, right? So when you're testing these, you're going to see that most likely one ad set is performing or spending more than the other ad set. Now, spend is an indicator of how Facebook thinks things will perform, specifically in a CBO campaign. So keep that in mind. If an ad set in an ad is spending much more than the other ad sets and ads, that's an indication from Facebook that Facebook thinks that this will work. And you should probably trust Facebook because Facebook has a lot of data, right? So coming over here, we now have the ABO testing campaign. Now, I usually like to start with this kind of testing strategy. For example, if we have a brand new account, so there's no data in the ad account, no data whatsoever. And for this other campaign over here, for this audience, I usually like to take what's best performing historically for the audience, right? So if it's broad 35 plus to 65, then we're going to take broad 35 plus to 65 for these 2 ad angles, for these 2 ad sets. If we come over here, now we're not changing the angle, we're actually changing the audience. And I know what people are going to say, oh, Russell, what about broad? Go broad. I get that, but for new ad accounts, broad may not necessarily be the best way to go until you test it. Right? So for these ad sets, we're going to be testing different audiences. So we're going to have the same ad angle, put your best foot forward, your best educated hypothesis. You're going to put your best hypothesis that you think will perform, and you're just going to duplicate it about 4 to 5 times, and you're going to change the audience, right? So we have audience A right here. We have audience B, keeping the same, creative angles and the ad angle. Audience C, audience D, audience E, right? This is going to be an ABO, which means that each ad set is going to get an equal amount of spend, as compared to the CBO, where Facebook allocates more budget to the ad set that it thinks will perform better, that it may know that will perform better, right? So this is the difference between ad set budget and, of course, CBO. Now, once, say for example, we've figured out exactly what kind of audience is performing best, right? We have maybe like 2 to 3 different, audiences that we know are performing best. Now we can evolve this strategy into an aggregated audience strategy, or super audience, right? So now, instead of testing audiences, we've got that initial data, we recorded the results, and now we're going to iterate, right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to put these, for example, 2 to 3 or 1 to 2, how many ever audiences that are winning, and by winning I mean to say that have more than 3 to 5 purchases and are profitable, right? They're profitable after 3 to 7 days. Then you can go ahead and you can aggregate them, which means you can combine them. So say for example, we're selling a dog toy. Maybe, for example, dog toy, or like dog light or something like that. Those are the 3 winning interests that were shown in the first test, right? Now what we can do is we can combine those interests into an interest stack and test the different ad angles, similar to the CBO strategy. So now we have a super audience. We know that are performing excellently. We combine the different audiences into one interest stack, and now we test the different ad angles. So now we can see here we have ad angle number 1, super audience A, and the different creative angles. Now we have over here ad angle number 2, super audience A, the different ad angles for ad angle number 2. Now we have over here ad angle number 3, super audience A, and the different creative angles, right? So if we take a look, these are the different kinds of testing strategies that we deploy initially for testing our Facebook ads for our e-commerce brands. And now I'm going to show you exactly how to implement all of these strategies. Okay guys, so let's go ahead and put these strategies into place. So we have our foundation, we have our strategy, now it's time for the tactics, right? So I've given you the timeless foundations of what you should always do before you're really doing anything marketing related. I've given you the basics of Facebook ads, right? And now it's time to actually put these into play, right? So we're going to start by heading into our ad account. We're always going to optimize for sales, or the objective in which we ultimately want. If you want leads, say for example, you're growing email lists, then you're going to optimize for leads. If you want sales, you're going to optimize for sales, right? So we're going to start with sales, and we're going to start with the CBO kind of strategy, right? So we're going to go to sales. I'm going to name this RJ CBO testing, right? We're going to continue. In this case, you're going to want to click manual sales campaign, continue. You're going to want to turn catalog off because we're not doing that. Advantage campaign budget, you're going to turn this on. And let's just start at $20 per day, right? Now you're going to want to head over to the ad set level. You're going to want to click website right here. I usually like to name mine 001, for example, broad, 25 plus, male plus female, and AU, right? Now if we go to the pixel, you're going to select your pixel, conversion event. You're always going to want to optimize for purchase. Make sure your conversion API is set up. If you don't know what that is, I can make a different video in the future going over that. But you're going to have your purchase for the conversion event. you're going to want to schedule it for, I usually like to schedule it for the next day at 12 a.m. I'm going to go down here, switch location because we said Australia, right? 25 plus, as you see here. So we're going to edit this, go to age, go to 25 plus. And because this is broad, we're going to leave it broad, right? And I usually leave Advantage Plus placements on just when I'm testing. So now what you're going to do is you're going to want to name this ad. For example, I like to name mine RJ001, for example, if I'm testing initially. This is how I like to name my ads in general. So RJ001, and let's say we go back and we're testing, let's see here, we're testing the carousel, right? So go back over here, just put carousel, right? Now what you're going to do, turn on ad preview, manual upload, carousel, right? Now what you're going to do is you're going to add your different images. You're going to add the headline. So, I don't know, buy one, get one free, right? And you're also going to add your website URL. And what you can also do with carousels, you can apply the same headline to the same cars. So you're only testing, different creatives, right? So say we have these 3 different elements. I also like to turn off, we go to Advantage Plus Creative, optimize that. I also like to turn off the profile in card. That's just my preference. I usually leave Advantage Plus Creative on, even though it does alter a little bit. I have noticed a bit of improved results by leaving it on. So now what you're going to do here is you're going to put your primary text, and this is dummy text. Don't put this text here, but you're going to want to put, like I said before, text that matches the level that your audience is at, right? So keep in mind market sophistication and also stages of market awareness. And your creative, your actual image or static or carousel should also match that too. So let's say grab your perfume here, buy one, get one free. This is what that looks like, right? Learn more. I usually like to use that call to action because it's a bit softer. You're going to put your website here, website.com, right? And I usually like to also put in URL parameters. It's going to be up to you, but you can build a URL parameter by clicking this button right here. And this is going to help you with better tracking, but is beyond the scope of this video, and I actually will probably make another video in the future going over them. Okay, so now we have our carousel. Now what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate this. And I said 4 different ads, so we're going to make this 3 different copies. Right. And now you're just going to repeat the same thing for these, right? Except you're going to change the creative name. So this is going to be RJ002. Let's see what was over here. Static. So I like to just put an image. All right. You come down here, single image or video, and you repeat the process, right? 001 is, if we go back over here, ad set number 1, angle number 1. We have 001, right? And we have all of the different creative angles here as well. So if we come over here, we can actually duplicate this really quickly. Now with this is going to be a different ad angle, right? So we change that 002, leave the settings the same on the ad set level. But now we're going to actually change this. We're going to change the different creatives now. So instead of RJ001, this is going to be RJ005. This is going to be RJ006 for the image. Of course, once that's ready to go, what you're going to want to do is you're going to click publish, make sure everything is all good to go, make sure your settings are exactly how you like it. And this is essentially how you go about testing your Facebook ads using the CBO strategy. So now let's go ahead and implement the ABO testing strategy. So the difference here is going to be, we're giving each ad set an equal amount of spend. So we're going to repeat the same steps. Go to sales. You're going to name your campaign. RJ, ABO testing, continue. Manual sales campaign. You're going to want to turn off catalog, leave advantage campaign budget off. Now we're gonna have the same ad set naming convention. So let's say it's over here. Broad, 25 plus, right? Conversion event, purchase. Come down here. And again, because we're testing 5 different ABO style ads or ad sets, I'm gonna change this daily budget to 10, just for the sake. We're going to change this to October 4th at 12 a.m. the next day. We're going to want to change this again to Australia. Get rid of United States. Change your age. 25 plus. Leave it broad. No detailed targeting, no interest. Right? And this will be essentially the ad set with the same, this will be the ad set. And what we're going to do is we're going to repeat the same kind of process that we did for the CBO campaign. Only we're going to keep the same different creatives, right? So we're going to have 4 different creatives, a GIF, a video, and a static and a carousel. So let me duplicate this again 3 times. So what we're going to have here is we're going to have an image. Make sure you name it correctly. I'm not going to name it for the sake of time, but image. We have a carousel. We have a video. And last but not least, we have a GIF, right? So now what we're going to do is, because we have all of these creators in place, we're going to want to duplicate this 4 more times to give us a total of 5 assets. And of course, once it's loaded, you're going to want to change this. Let's go 002. We're going to change this to, for example, let's say we're advertising a dog toy, right? So we're going to come down here. We're going to remove this copy because it's not a copy. 002, we're going to come down to detail targeting right here. We're going to type in dog. And then what we're going to do, dog animals, right? We're going to use this interest. And this may be a bit too broad to start off with, but this is what we're going to do. Dog animals, right? Now, you're going to leave everything else the same. So you're only changing the audience. Now what you're going to do over here is you're going to come down, 003. We're going to get rid of the copy. We're going to get rid of broad. We're going to come down here. We're going to type in dog again. We're going to type in dog groomer. And this may be too specific, but for the sake of this video, this will be a different interest that suits your audience, right? So dog groomer. And we're going to repeat this for the next 2 different ad sets, right? What you're going to do after this is you're going to let this run for 3 to 7 days, similar to the CBO strategy. You're going to let this run for 3 to 7 days. After this 3 to 7 days, you're going to evaluate whether or not it was profitable. If it was profitable after 3 to 7 days, go ahead and keep letting it run. Let it optimize. Let Facebook's algorithm optimize the ads. The longer you let the ads run, the better they tend to perform over the long term, right? Unless your audience dies out and creative fatigue sets in, but that's a different story. So, of course, what we're going to do is we're going to let it run for 3 to 7 days. After that, we're going to record the results, and then we're going to iterate off those results. And then, say for example, we have dogs, animals here, dog groomer. We're going to combine those into a super ad set. So I'll show you right now how to do that. So we're going to duplicate this. We're going to come down. This is going to be let's say it's 006. Oops. Now we're going to type in dogs again. or dog groomer. We're going to add these two. Now we have a super audience. So I like to usually call these, for example, interest stack number 1. And there you have it. So guys, this has been a quick tutorial on exactly how we go about finding winning ads and how to be profitable with Facebook ads and our Facebook ads testing strategy. If you guys like this, go ahead and leave a comment below saying what you really liked about it and what you'd like to see maybe in the future. All right, guys. Have a good one.